Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I wanted to just thank all of our participants that are joining us for this Zoom session with our Los Angeles chapter leaders. We know that you'd rather be meeting in person as we would as well. My name is Jorge Ancona, and I'm the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Alumni Engagement and Executive Director of your UCR Alumni Association. We're doing things a little bit different this year for obvious reasons, but typically our Highlander Welcomes are an opportunity for our chapter leaders to welcome the newest graduates into the alumni family. If this were a typical year, we'd be gathered either at a restaurant or at a bar somewhere in Los Angeles, and having the opportunity for our newest graduates not only to meet their local alumni leaders, but also have the opportunity to meet their fellow Highlanders that are going to be relocating to that region. Because we're doing things in a virtual space at the moment, the boundaries in terms of geography no longer really play that much of a factor. But this is the template that we're going to be using moving forward, at least for the summer, for all of our Highlander Welcomes. And so what we decided to do as we're trying to conceptualize what this program would look like is we posed a question to our chapters, what type of topic or what type of program would you like to do? And each one of them has been thinking about a subject area or a topic that they feel might be useful to our alumni. So for our participants, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. If you're not familiar with Zoom, there is a chat box. If you hover towards the bottom of your screen, you'll see that there's a chat box that is there. You'll be able to ask your questions through the chat box. And we have some predetermined questions that we will ask of our panelists, and they'll be able to respond to those. But then towards the, once I've gone through those questions, we will be asking you to not only submit your questions, but then also we'll be selecting some of those and being able to respond to them as well. You will notice that this session is being recorded. It's being recorded so that we can then post it to our website in case you want to go back to it, or in case you have colleagues that weren't able to participate. We can always direct them to that web link, and then they'll be able to see this session as well. So with that, what I'd like to do is take this opportunity to not only thank our panelists, all of whom are leaders on the Los Angeles chapter of the UCR Alumni Association, but also give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Mike. Mike, if you can go ahead and tell folks a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge. And like Jorge said, congratulations to you guys for graduating this year. And it's an unfortunate event with the whole pandemic. And typically we'll have these Highlander Welcomes at a restaurant in LA or at a bar and restaurant in LA, and it would be more of that, face-to-face feel. So, but this is a good alternative, and I'm glad we're able to do this. We're looking forward to sharing with you more information about our experiences. We hope you guys will find helpful. So just a point on that. But yeah, my name is Mike Saldana. I graduated UCR in 2009. My major was business administration, and what I do now, I'm a residential real estate agent in LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside County. So throughout the Southern California area, and specialize with first-time home buyers, anybody looking from a $300,000 condo up to a $700,000 single-family home, and anybody looking for a multi-family property. So that is me.
Thank you, Mike. Let's go ahead and go to Diana.
I'm unmuted, right?
Yeah, Diana. You're fine.
I graduated from UCR in 2007. I'm a business major, and I took, right now I'm not working, so I took a break last year for personal life obligations, but when I was working as a contractor for a startup company for an app company. So I was events, market manager for LA. So I try to build the LA market for this company. And that's a little bit about me.
Great. Thank you, Diana. Let's go ahead and go to Armand.
Hi, everybody. I'm Armand. Just want to echo what all the other panelists said. Welcome, and we feel for you, especially to the 2020 graduates who graduated in this weird time. I mean, we never would have predicted this. So I just want to say congratulations, and we'll try our best to give you some good advice. Again, my name is Armand Labrilla. I graduated in 2008. I was a business major, and I'm currently an associate portfolio manager at EP Wealth Advisors, which is an investment advisory firm based in Torrance. So we manage about $6.5 billion across over 10 offices in the West Coast and in the Midwest.
All right, thank you so much, Armand. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions, and so the first one I'm going to invite to respond to will be Mike. Mike, when you think about your experience, can you briefly share with us what it was like to conduct a job search during a time when we knew there was a recession? It was the Great Recession. You know, the jobs weren't as robust as when you first entered college, and then. If you wouldn't mind sharing with us, how long did it take for you to find your employment? And then were there things that you did that helped you stand out as you were going through the search process?
Yeah, great question, Jorge. So, you know, first, I guess to answer the last part of the question about how long it took me to find a job, man, it took me about a year. So a year from graduation. I graduated June 2009. I got my first job, started the first day, June 2010. It's nothing to be, you know, I was not expecting that, right? It was a challenging part of my life, and I understood what was going on with the economy at the time because of the financial collapse, right? But, you know, don't be discouraged because of that. I think I'd say for me, give yourself about a year, and it's okay if you don't find something right away. And just to let you know, you guys are not alone in that, right? There's people that are going through that same experience as you. And, you know, for me, I guess what helped, what I did was I remember applying to, so my major was business administration. I remember applying to a lot of business jobs, you know, sales jobs, and using Monster.com, Career Builder. I'm not sure if those websites are still around, and also using the UCR career website. So I remember going through a lot of applications, going through a lot of interviews, and yeah, nothing was really panning out. And I didn't really have a specific focus in business. You know, my mindset was to get a full-time job, you know, work 9 to 5, and eventually work myself up through that corporate ladder. And just looking back at it now, I'm not even in that scenario anymore, or even in that mindset anymore. So, so I did a lot of that, and then I guess what helped me stood out, what I did and how I got my first job was I actually went to a UCR career fair before I graduated, and I remember this was like I met a recruiter for a property management company called Equity Residential. And I saved her business card, and I don't know why I didn't reach out to her sooner, but this is maybe, you know, 8 months later. I found this business card in my portfolio or in my briefcase, and I reached out to her, just, hey, I'm looking for a job. I just graduated, and, you know, is there any opportunities in the Covina area, which was where I was living at the time. I was living with my parents. And so I emailed her. She messaged me back, you know, there's actually an opportunity in Chino Hills, which is about, you know, 15 minutes away from Covina. And, you know, she connected me with a property manager for that community. And, you know, that's actually how I got my first job. So experience was rough, like just going through that whole year, just not getting any, you know, anything solid, and no job offers until a year later. It was challenging, but I think for me, what worked is using my network, using people you've met, maybe going through all business cards you met of people you met at career fairs or from networking or meetings, and that's what really helped me. So that was my experience.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that. Diana, would you like to respond to that question as well?
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Okay, I'm unmuted, right?
Yes.
So regarding my experience job searching, it's actually pretty world shattering, I would say. Like everything that we were taught about what to do to get a job didn't work. So example, like get enough internships, get enough experience, during your college time, finding mentors, networking, and then graduate, right? Go to a bunch of job fairs, resume workshops, and yeah, you'll get a job. But it didn't happen. I mean, you could do everything on the checklist and more, and it was really difficult. So I want to tell everyone that that's just normal, that I call that like life's hazing, that everyone has to go through this job journey to, so I think most of it is to learn about yourself. So I thought I knew what I wanted, how I fit in the world, and then going through all these jobs and interviews, I started learning about what didn't fit. What I thought these job descriptions were didn't actually come out that way. And it was also difficult because these entry-level jobs that I'm going for, other people were going for it too, and it wasn't college graduates. It was people with 5 years of experience going for the same entry-level jobs. There's no way I'm gonna, get these jobs. There's just no way. I don't have the experience nor add value in that way. I'm just a new person to mold, and there wasn't a lot of jobs where it's specifically for college grads to mold them. A lot of these jobs were given to people kind of like their senior year, because these companies try to mold you then for the outside world to work with them after. And I didn't, I guess I didn't go that path. And so I would apply to 20 jobs a day, what I call to the black hole, which is applying online. I would follow up, try to call, email, everything you could think of. LinkedIn, stalk people on there, try to connect with them. A live person to talk to, try to take them out for coffee, learn about the company. And then what I learned that really helped me was to be less picky. What UCR also thought we would fit in is this box, and we didn't fit in that box. In this world, we didn't. So I had to be more realistic, and I learned that there's other jobs. There's small companies. I didn't have to just apply to big corporate companies. There are other great opportunities there. There's other ways around to get a job too. I thought back then I would get a job within a month, being young and a little naive. And then and I guess what happened to me was Craigslist actually worked the best for me. That's back then. So Craigslist worked the best because it was real people who were actually looking for another real person, where a lot of these bigger websites were what I call black holes. You're just applying and you'll never get a response. You won't even get feedback. You won't even get a live person or even an email back. With Craigslist, I got the best chances. I got a lot of interviews through that. I learned a lot of these small companies weren't that bad. They had great benefits, a lot of opportunities, and I landed a job maybe in 4 months, but it wasn't a full-time benefits job, but it was a job. It was actually a seasonal temporary job that was a store manager at a retail store. So it was a 3-month contract. And while I was at that job, that's how I landed my first full-time benefits job. Weird, but people want to hire people with jobs. That's the weird part. They don't want to hire people without jobs, which is really funny. So that's how I landed my actual first-time job. And how did I stand out would include, I think I try to do a lot. So I did things like my professional outfit had a little bit of flair to my character, so a little color. I would try to change the thickness of my resume paper or color a little slightly, so it's not going to be piled up in the same pile and look the same as everything else. I would include a cover letter or contact reference with my resume, so it's ready to go. If they wanted to call my references, they could do that right away. And what made me stand out for the first job I got was really mailing thank you letters. It's very old fashioned, but I guess the person who did hire me for the first full-time benefits job really liked that. Out of everybody, it kind of stood out. So the whole journey I learned a lot. So hopefully no one just gives up, because everyone's going to have to go through this. And even right now, I don't have a job right now. I'm not looking, but in a couple months I will be looking. So I'm going to go through the same process as you guys, which is hustling for myself. And I have to be creative. So one good thing about us coming from UCR is that we learn to be creative. I'm sure everyone knows we're the school that knows how to make a party out of dirt. So we're very creative and very resourceful. So I would say just keep your mind open about things.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Diana. And I, as you were mentioning that, I too, when I graduated, this was like in the early '90s, so way before all of you on this panel. The economy was also in a downturn. It seems like we have a theme here. I also, while I wasn't a business major, I studied economics and Latin American studies, thinking I was going to do something either with NAFTA or something in the finance sector. And it turned out that I was fortunate to have a job waiting for me when I graduated, but not in what I had expected. It was working on campus. It was a 1-year contract job at admissions at my alma mater, and I thought I'll just do it for a year. And then 1 year became 2, and before you know it, I've been at the University of California for 28 years. Not something I expected to do, but sometimes these opportunities present themselves, and you never know what the career path is going to look like. So thank you both for sharing your journey with everybody who is tuning in. Shifting gears a little bit, because when you mentioned the cardstock that you use, Diana, for your resume, some of the things that you were doing to stand out. Armand, maybe you might be able to respond to this, but right now, there is no taking somebody out for coffee. Either that or you're going to be at a different table than they are. There is no, most of our, even before the pandemic, most of our submitting resumes was happening online. Even if it was somebody, even if it wasn't into one of these like monster.coms or Indeed or some of these other platforms, it was still emailing your cover letter and your resume to somebody within the company or the company website. So can you talk a little bit about sort of the mindset that you now have to think about when you're trying to make that connection with somebody, whether it's a virtual interview, a phone interview, where being in the same room with that individual is not really an option presently. How do you make that connection, and how do you prepare for whether it's a meeting or whether it's, in this case, it could be an interview where it's all virtual.
Right. So thanks. When you're meeting somebody for the first time, whether it's a cold reach out via LinkedIn or you're just kind of stalking everyone's company profiles to see who the hiring manager, or whether if it's a warm invite, whether it's like a friend of yours who introduced you to a hiring manager or somebody on the team where you want to work, it's going to be a cold meet. They don't know anything about you. You think you know something about them, but you're trying to gather information. So try to be as warm and personable as possible. At this, like, you're taking their time. They're giving you the time, whether if it's the kindness of their heart or they owed somebody a favor. You're taking away 30 minutes or an hour of their day. So be very to the point, come with a game plan, make yourself presentable, whether it's on the phone or in a video chat. They can tell if you really are interested or if you're looking for a job or a handout. Do a little background, like find out what they like and you can relate to. I found all of this sort of helpful in my search. And, you stumble and fall. I've blown warm meets where the person who introduced us is like, hey, what did you do? Like, you're making me look bad now. So just keep that in mind as you're meeting people whether you've heard of them or they heard of you, or whether it's a straight up cold meet. Be prepared, act professional, and try to be cognizant of their time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Preparation is important. And the other thing I would say is that as you're thinking about, let's say you submitted your resume, you hear from HR and they've decided that they want to set up an appointment. Other things to consider. Think about, we were talking about this in terms of lighting, how important is lighting is. If you're going to be, whether you're using Zoom or Teams or some other type of virtual platform, one, that you if it is an interview, that you dress professionally. Two, that you consider the lighting. You don't want to look like you're in the witness protection program where you're just a silhouette and the voice, right? You also want to come prepared with questions. Again, as Armand just indicated, they're giving up of their time, which, in today's day and age with all these Zoom meetings and virtual platforms that we're all engaging in, that actually can be taxing. So want to make sure that you make most of that opportunity. And the other thing too, I will say is, if you reach out to somebody via LinkedIn, be sure to follow up with them, especially if they're offering to meet with you. Don't just wait to get around to it. Try to respond right away and follow through. Especially if it's a warm lead, like Armand indicated. If a classmate or a friend of yours is going out of their way to make a virtual introduction, don't let too much time go by before you go ahead and respond, because that doesn't reflect well on either of you. Okay, thank you so much, Armand. Let's see, Mike or Diana, either you wanna talk about how you prepare for either a virtual interview, and it could be informational, it could be trying to land a new account. I mean, what are some of the things that help you and especially you, Mike, right now? I mean, you mentioned you're into real estate. How are you conducting open houses and some of these other things where you're probably trying to do some type of real estate transaction, where I don't know if how you're positioning it with both the buyers and the sellers, if access to certain things are somewhat limited.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Jorge. With real estate, just if you guys are interested to see what my experience has been like in the industry right now because of the pandemic, is there's no physical open houses, and there's actually virtual open houses now, kind of like what we're doing for this panel discussion. So like I would go to the property, I'll have my phone, I'll have the Zoom app, or it'll be Facebook Live. And I would go around the property, share with them about the neighborhood, share with them about the house, the features, the benefits, the size, the price. I would go through all that on a virtual open house. And one thing I do like about the virtual open house, it takes a lot less time than a physical open house. Typically I'll spend about 3 to 4 hours at a physical open house, and it'll take me about maybe an hour and a half for like a virtual open house. So that's the one positive side I see from it. So like, in real estate, as a real estate agent, the purpose is to generate business, to turn into clients turn into income, right? So it's haven't really got any new business from the virtual open houses, but recently what it's been is just people I've been in communication with, like friends and family, past clients that have referred me to people. And then, people that I met with before, maybe 3 years, 4 years ago, they weren't ready to buy then, but they're ready to buy now. So just servicing those people, answering their questions. Some have questions about the real estate market. Is it good? That's probably a popular question right now because of the whole pandemic, and what interest rates are like. So that's kind of have been my experience with work so far in the real estate industry. And we've been doing virtual open houses. We're still able to show clients properties. There's a lot more disclosures, and people need to fill out for liability, saying that if you're voluntarily entering the property with the risk of getting COVID infection. So a lot more legal paperwork because of that. Just some more extra steps for us agents. But that's been my experience so far.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see, this next question, let's go ahead. I'll send this one to Diana. Diana, so thinking about your job search that is going to be coming up, knowing that right now you're not looking for an employment, but in a couple of months you may be having to, you know, go through this process of applying and going through this whole thing, is how do you keep yourself motivated or keep yourself from becoming discouraged if the process itself is moving rather slowly, or you submit things and you don't hear back from a while? I mean, how do you keep yourself sort of focused and not discouraged?
Yeah, that it is a very discouraging journey to job hunt for sure. It's not fun. So I can say, well, now it's going to be different. But back then, what I did was I would find friends who were around, or meet up friends and go to a coffee shop to Wi-Fi and job hunt together. Of course, that's not what we could do now. So just adding some fun to it. So maybe to keep myself motivated, I would give myself goals. That's what I did before. I had goals of how many jobs I would apply to per day, how many follow-ups, how many emails, how many LinkedIn connections. But really what I learned through all of this is that I do not really plan to really want to apply online anymore. I call that the black hole, because at this point, I think networking is the best and fastest and the most reliable source of getting a job. So I know getting out of college, that's difficult because your network is pretty much the same people who are looking for jobs too. So that's definitely hard. I probably will go back to some volunteer groups that I used to be part of. I think that's a really good place to start for me, and it's fun. So I'll join interest groups, like if I like whiskey and bourbon, so I'll join a bourbon or whiskey group and get involved in that club or group, and that's kind of like what I see as job hunting. My goal isn't to just get a job from the club, it's really to build relationships, because I would be learning about the people in that group, and the group will be learning about me. They'll understand how to work with me and how I work with them, my strength, my weaknesses, what I'm good at. And really these groups become your evangelists. So they'll refer you to jobs. They'll tell other people about you, or they'll find you a job, or if they hear of a job, they'll tell you about it. Because I guess that's how networking works. That's what I noticed it to be. If I did have to apply online, I would go with AngelList or Craigslist or LinkedIn. Due to what I like kind of like startups or more flexible jobs, and also work from home jobs, which a lot of AngelList jobs are, because they're startup, and there's a lot more opportunity to grow in those type of fields. So those are the areas I would look for, and I have to do things that make it fun. So if it's a goal to get a job, I have to figure out fun ways of doing it. So that could be joining a club, looking at AngelList, doing research that involves things that are of interest to me. But yeah, it is very hard to keep motivated. It is very difficult. I would recommend finding out more about yourself, how you can refresh yourself, re-energize yourself. You can even do this by hanging out with friends in different ways on Zoom. I have friends who are gamers, so they taught me about using Discord, which I never used in my whole life. So that's something new too. Starting projects with friends, that's fun too. That keeps me active and motivated, and it helps me sharpen my skills. So anything that could sharpen your skills or even bridge jobs, I would say keep your mind open. And these fun jobs can actually be a stepping stone for you. Like, I know people who have done Uber and Lyft and have met other people who offer them jobs. You know, I know now it's kind of dangerous to do that, but there are small jobs, part-time, temporary, that you can use to network to another job.
Thank you. That's a great point. And thank you for citing some specific examples. When you first said networking, I thought, okay, I wonder if she's going to cite an example or if she's just going to leave it at networking. So thank you for providing some concrete examples of how you go about networking outside of a job environment or job setting, because that was some terrific examples of what you provided. Armand, same question to you. How would you keep yourself motivated in a job search, knowing that I work at a university, and we know that sometimes our job searches can be 3 to 4 months, and that's the normal path of a job search. Not even having to do the whole we're working remotely, there's a pandemic. That's just a typical search. So how would you keep yourself motivated if you were having to go through something like that?
Right. To echo Diana, it takes a while, especially for a solid long-term job that you actually would want to work in. For me, when I was job hunting, I kept to a schedule. I woke up at the same time every day. I got out of the house, and I took interviews where I didn't really think I would actually work at, or didn't have that much interest in the company or the responsibilities of the job. But I took the interview, and it really sharpened my skills. It sharpened my soft skills, like people skills, listening, learning when to talk, learning when to not talk. All of those things really helped prepare me for other interviews, which I went a lot in. The black hole, I would also agree with that a lot of jobs online, or a lot of jobs that you apply to online, you won't hear anything from them. And sometimes you'll hear from them a month later. And if you do get an interview, chances are there's multiple interviews. First, they'll do a fielding interview. You won't even talk to the person who may end up hiring you. You may have like 3 or 4 rounds. A recruiter also really helped. These people get paid to find you a job. It's a little bit harder now, again, because of the circumstances, but they are out there, and there are people looking for employees. So that really helped. And I found my recruiters through Indeed, through LinkedIn, and even Craigslist. And those are just kind of avenues that you can hit. You definitely want to try everything. You want to talk to everyone. But just to keep motivated and understand that it does take a long time, especially for a good quality job.
Thank you. And just to be clear, the recruiters they get compensated by the hiring firm, not necessarily, you're not having to pay them to do the job search for you. They're serving as a network connector, and their compensation comes from finding the successful candidate that the company is looking for. So if you go online and you do a search on recruiters and they're asking you to pay money up front, that's not a recruiter. That's something else. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit in terms of the topics. And at some point, hopefully for our panelists, just a reminder, not our panelists, our participants, a reminder to submit questions to the chat box if you have some specific pressing questions that you'd want to ask for our panelists, and then I'll go ahead and ask that question on your behalf. But this one is, let's go also back to Armand for this one. How do you remain connected with colleagues right now, that are work related, especially in this time where you're working from home? It's like, how do you, the meetings get scheduled, but are there other ways to remain connected that go beyond just that recurring meeting that pops up on your calendar?
Right. So my team regularly meets at least twice a week. So we have our Monday investment committee meeting, that's routine. And then we have our portfolio managers meeting on Wednesday. But we don't really get to be personable in those meetings. It's very business because we want to keep the meeting short, being respectful of everybody's time. But we also want to get to know each other personally. My firm is growing very rapidly, so we're getting a lot of new people. We just hired someone last week who was in addition to our team. We take on, and we're really lucky that our firm was integrated this way, but we really make use of all the technology that's offered to us, and that's group chats on Team. You're literally instant messaging your team, and 75% of the time it's not about work. You're just talking about somebody during the meeting who's talking right now, or you want to know what everybody was up to that weekend. Group chats, group text messages, one-on-one text messages, phone calls, just to catch up. My firm, when all of this started in March, our HR called everybody, and we spent about an hour and a half just catching up how we feel. Is everything okay? Are you going crazy yet? A lot of these emotional check-ins are really good to, one, for your own mental health, and two, to keep that sort of community feeling within your group.
Great, thank you. How about you, Mike? How are you? I don't know what your environment looks like, if how you're connecting or remaining connected with colleagues, or if you're a team of one.
No, it's funny you mentioned that. No, I'm actually part of this new real estate team, and there's actually about 9 of us on this team. So it's actually a team of 9. And prior to joining this team, which was, February this year, before I made that transition to the team, it was just a team of 1. So, but, I guess how I stay connected with them, kind of like what Armand said, I have scheduled meetings daily from Monday to Friday at 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. through Zoom, like what we're using now. And we'll go over, how our day was yesterday. We'll go over what we're doing for the day, and we'll go over our wins, our learning lessons, and, any issues that we have, with real estate. So Zoom, we're using a lot of Zoom. And then, we have a text message group that we have, so we'll communicate through there. And then, phone call. So if we have questions, reach out to somebody, or if anybody has questions for me, they'll reach out to me via the phone call. But yeah, Zoom, text messaging, and phone calls.
Well, thank you. No, we do something similar. It's funny because we have our different platforms, right? So for some things we use Zoom when it's the entire team, and we want to make sure that we all can see each other. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed with so many Zoom requests that we'll turn to things like just a regular phone call. That still works. You can just call somebody up and have a conversation. You don't have to be sitting in front of your computer. That way you can move around, do some other things. We do use the Teams chat function, but that's more as of a social type thing for us to just be able to say good morning, or, I'm going to be off from this time to this time because I'm going into a meeting. So just to keep other team members apprised of what's going on. And the other thing too that we like to do, yes, I agree with you, Armand. We want to try to keep the business portion of the meeting, moving, and not make meetings go longer than the necessary, but even just allowing for a bit of a social time before we get down to the business of, how were people's weekends? Are you currently watching, what are you binge watching? Is there something, fun out there? And I have this growing list of shows that I still haven't been able to get to, but I know that there's some pretty strong recommendations. But thank you. Thank you, Mike. I want to do now is shift gears a little bit. All of you have alluded to the fact that you've used or you've volunteered for different organizations. So my question to the 3 of you are, given that you are alumni leaders for the LA chapter, is why are you involved with UCR? You graduated 13 years ago, and here you are. So one, how did you reconnect with your alma mater, and 2, why are you still involved with UCR at this point in your lives? So I'll start with you, Mike, since I have you up on my screen.
Sure. Yeah. I'm the president of the UCR LA alumni chapter, and Diana and Armand is the social chair, and Diana is the vice president. We're the LA chapter, and I guess the first question with why I decided to connect with the association, I remember getting involved right away, right after graduation in 2009, and I really was curious to see what other alumni graduates were doing outside of college in the real world, with work, with what they're up to, with where they're living. And I always enjoyed going to these get-togethers or these networking events that we would host in Santa Monica, in downtown, in Hollywood. And, I met Armand through there, and it was, for me, that was the main thing, is just kind of like staying in touch with our alma mater, UCR, seeing what everyone's been up to, and just connecting with people. And it's fun. You know, I have a lot of pride in UCR, and I wanted to see what everyone else is up to. So that's you know, why I started doing that. And then, you know, why I still stay connected is I enjoy it. I feel like, you know, I've created a whole new circle of friends by being part of this chapter. Like Armand, Diana, we have other, you know, chapter members that are not on this call, but I would not have a new circle of friends if I didn't join this chapter. And, you know, I enjoy hanging out with them. Like, we'll have white elephant events, we'll have holiday parties, we'll go to each other's housewarming parties. We've been to some of each other's weddings. So it's been awesome to get to know them, you know, and, you know, on a personal level instead of just work. So that's why I stay connected, and also want to give back to like UCR too, with, you know, helping future Highlanders, seeing how we can share our experiences to help them, and you know, and then, you know, maybe we can connect them or the right person that they're looking to connect with, or being part of that too. So that's why I stay connected with UCR.
Great, thank you so much. Diana, how about you, going to the vice president?
I would say that's definitely a title. I'm really lucky that Armand and Mike just found me and invited me to the group. So I'm a newbie, just so everyone knows. I'm still learning from them on what I can help in, and they've been in this group for years. So they've been helping UCR LA chapter for years, and I admire that a lot. And I'm really grateful to even be a part of the group, to be considered. And they work, I really like the way they work. It's very flexible. The reason I got involved, how I got involved was actually, I love happy hours. And so they actually had a welcome happy hour in I guess in an area that I was in, and that's how I was able to meet everybody. And then from then on, I kind of grew to join the team, which I was really lucky because there were available position. And the reason I think I felt like joining or even going to a UCR event was I had a lot of great memories with UCR, and it felt really good to reconnect with just other people who understood UCR. Just the things we went through, or just talk about memories of how the space was, or understand what the environment is today, or getting nice news of what's happening today. Like, oh, hey, there's a new department, or we just won this award, and I can shove it in my friend's face and say, UCR is great, you know, we did win things, you know, we do things. But mainly also hopefully to give back. I think everyone just in life growing up, it's pretty tough. And I was lucky to have a couple of mentors older than me in different careers, kind of help me through life, the job hunting, through different things. And I'm hoping that since I've gone through it, anyone who is going through what I have gone through, maybe I can just give them tips, you know, hopefully they don't have to go through as much trouble as I did. I feel like we could be like the fast pass, you know, use us to that resource because other people have helped me that way. And yeah, just feeling connected. I think it's great. Being part of a team is really nice.
Great. Thank you so much, Diana. Armand, I'll have you respond to that, and then I do want to get to a question from one of the participants. So Armand, how and why did you decide to get involved with UCR?
Sure. Well, I was tapped immediately at my graduation. The distinguished alumni said, "You're going to join the Alumni Association and you're going to like it." And I thought, well, why do I need to pay money to be connected to the school? Like, I could visit whenever I want. So when I first joined, it was more of a selfish reason. Like, I wanted to see who I could meet. I was starting at a firm where I had to build a book, and I wanted to meet local people who could help build that book. It just so happened at my first meeting, one of the other board members on the UCR LA chapter was also starting that program at the firm I started with, just at a different branch. So we went through the ranks together. We understood together. We were at the same meetings together. We were meeting the same people. So we had that dual connection that made us even closer. A few years later, I moved to Sacramento and I helped start the Sacramento Club up there. And I just wanted to meet people. I moved to a new city. I didn't know anybody. I went for a job and I just wanted to meet people to have fun with. So it was more of a personal and business aspect. And then when I moved back, it had already been some time and I wanted to rejoin the LA chapter. And then now it's more personal. The board is a group of people and we're all friends. Like Mike said, 3 of us got married within a month of each other and we were all at each other's weddings. We all hang out together. We all plan stuff together. It's genuinely a joy to go to these meetings, which aren't that often. So it's a very minimal commitment to give back so much. So just to repeat, it started off as business, then it was business and personal, and now it's pretty much all personal.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So here's a question from one of our participants, and that is, it's in the area of networking. So I don't know if there's going to be one of you that's going to want to jump in and answer this, but when you think about your network, how big should your network be, right? So you don't want to just collect a bunch of people and then never really connect with them generally, but how big should it be, and how do you keep in touch with those that are part of your network in a consistent manner?
I could take this one, Jorge.
Okay.
So it's definitely both sides. So I'll argue one side where it's about quality over quantity. My network graduating was very slim. All the people I knew were about my age, so early 20s. None really had the power to find or get me a job. So working that small connection, I met an uncle of a friend who ended up hiring me and to pursue an opportunity. Others will say that it's about numbers, it's about quantity. Fire off 100 resumes, hope for 10, maybe land 1 job. And that works too. So, I mean, my LinkedIn, I don't have the 500 plus connections, but I have a very strong LinkedIn group where I could reach out to any one of them, or well, most of them, and have a personal conversation. So it's definitely quality over quantity.
That is a terrific point, because when I think about the different social platforms that I use, LinkedIn is the one that I'm most protective of. If I don't know you and reach out to me, I may let you in if I see Highlander in your profile, but if there isn't like a UCR connection and we've never met in person, it's like, I don't know who you are. And you do have to be thoughtful. Now, Facebook, Instagram, those tend to be more social in nature. So that's a little bit of a different thing. I mean, there is a collection of individuals that, you have your elementary school friends that find you, that you accept into the group and stuff like that. But yeah, for LinkedIn, even if we went to school together, unless we're in the same sort of job profession, you do have to be a little bit more restrictive. So yeah, I would agree with that comment. How about you, Diana? Because it sounds like you have multiple different groups that you're associated with. How do you sort of, do you have all these people in your LinkedIn platform if you're using LinkedIn, or do you just sort of compartmentalize them, thinking, okay, well, this is my fun group, the people that appreciate bourbons and whiskeys, and these are the ones that are part of the LA chapter, and this other group is my business associates, the startups, the angel investors. How do you keep your network sort of arranged?
That's a good question. I guess it's just like, I'm sure I would describe it as how everyone through elementary, through school to high school, how they kept their friends, how they kept connected. You're not going to be connected to everybody, but you do remember people and what they did and your experience with them. So it's kind of like that. It's really difficult to keep connected with everybody. One thing I learned is that in college, we were taught to constantly keep connected, which is really difficult. And sometimes maybe it's not necessary, for some relationships it's not. And networking, the word is kind of scary. From when I was young, when people say networking, I was like, oh, it's a business term, you do that, you have to wear a suit or something. But I have to remind people networking is also making friends. So maybe it's casual, like I said, the whiskey groups to anything. And I don't want to limit it to just meeting people, because like you said, in LinkedIn, you guys have groups on there too. So a lot of times when my first couple of jobs I did was online. So I manage online groups, and that's a way to network too. Even within our LinkedIn UCR group, there could be discussions. If there is none, you can bring up topics to talk about, you know, tickle people's brains, be the knowledge leader in it, you know. And you can start networking with people through that. People make comments, they start interacting, and then you might even get involved in helping to monitor it too. You never know. And there's different groups, from casual groups you could join to professional groups. So I was interested in project management, so I ended up joining Project Management Institute, which is a volunteer group. There was an Orange County chapter when I was living there, and that gave me a huge network. I started off by accident volunteering just because I had a camera and I like taking pictures of my food or of just the events. And so I just got dubbed as a photographer for events. And from then they just I just had interest in things and they just gave it to me. And I met a lot of different people, and truthfully, I can't remember everybody. It's so difficult. So I really believe quality does matter. But it could you can meet a person once and you can connect with them, and you don't have to keep connected. It's just, you remember what they are and what they have done, their experience. Like if I wanted to go snowboarding and I have a friend who was a ranger, you know, and I have questions about the mountain, I would ask that friend. So in the business world, you might have someone who worked in finance, and you would ask that person for finance questions. So this network you're building is just, it's slow or it could be quick. I went on it's not speed dating, it's speed networking. So there's things like that where you go and you bring stack of business cards and you just meet everybody and you talk to each person for a couple seconds. And you have to elevator speech, and you meet like 50 to 100 people in that night. And that's too overwhelming for me. I learned going to like trying to network and find a job could be in a sense where maybe seminars, like I was interested in project management and certain things or certain topics, so I would go to seminars. Since there's no physical seminars now, there's online seminars, and you can participate in that and meet people of same interest and get a conversation going in that. Maybe at a seminar I might meet just one person, but that one person was enough to learn about their life, them to learn about my life. And if a job comes up or something comes up of interest, they would think of me for it, you know? One thing I need to remind people is, do not network and say, I want a job. Because networking is about what you can contribute and add to the table. Maybe you're good at, I don't know, Facebook, and this person doesn't even know how to use Facebook. That means you just became an added value to their life and what you can help others, because from helping other people, they're willing to help you too. That's how I see networking, because I remember younger, I learned not to try to ask for a job, because that's not what people want. You know, people don't want handouts. People don't want to be asked that. And also when you ask people for a cup of coffee, it's more about learning about them, not about getting a job. Really, you ultimately hope that it lands you a job, that you are memorable enough for them to remember you. But my biggest experience, my biggest recommendation is join a club, a group, something that's more long-term, not just 1 week commitment, something that could be a month, 2 months, 3 months, because it's a group where you actually get to learn about people. They learn about you. And if I was to refer anyone I knew for a job, I have to have worked with them in some kind of way. Like if it's not like paid work, it's volunteer work. So I could say, yeah, this person actually is really, really good at sale pitching. This person is really good at organizational skills. Like I have personal experience to recommend this person. And I like working with them, which makes it really easy for me to recommend them to anybody for a job. It's like, I love working with them. They're really chill. They're fun to work with. I mean, everyone wants that. And a lot of jobs are under the table, as in like, there might be online postings and there might not be. A lot of jobs are maybe someone referring someone else who is a good fit. You want to be that person to get that job where you actually don't have to apply. They tell someone about you and you have a coffee and talk and you might actually be the right fit. You know, someone is recommending you because they actually worked with you in volunteering. So Project Management Institute, I haven't volunteered with them for years, but after that, for the next 3 to 5 years, I kept on getting calls about job offers. Just because I was the only person, actually I was the only young person they knew first. So anything that was anything less than 5 years of experience, they went to me first anyways to see if I wanted the job. They really liked my work ethics and how I worked with them. So I was the first person to always be thought of, you know. I have a friend who's really creative. So anytime I think of I get a creative job, I think of them first because that's who I think of, you know. So you have to portray your persona to other people to figure out how they can use you in their life too. Hopefully that helps.
No, that does help. Thank you so much. That was a very very complete and very a wonderful way of describing, you know, a network in a way that doesn't necessarily make it feel like you have a Rolodex. It's like the Rolodex is more about what has the experience been like and who do you think would be good for that role. And you know, one of the questions I was going to ask, and I know I'm looking at the time, it's almost 7. We're going to have to wrap up soon. Is you know, how do you let somebody know that you are looking for a job without necessarily sounding like you're desperate or you need that job or you know, the way you described it, it's almost like if you put yourself in a position where people know you and they know your skill set and think of you when an opportunity presents itself, that's a great way to think about that. You want people coming to you, even if you aren't gainfully employed, thinking about this as a next great opportunity for you or what you can contribute to that company. So as we're wrapping up, I'm going to ask the last question, which is basically any final thoughts or one tip for somebody that might be currently going through a job search or thinking about starting a job search. What one piece of advice would you give that person? And so let's go ahead and start with Mike.
Yeah, I guess let's see. One piece of advice. I think a lot of, like Diana, Armand touched on it, networking. Totally agree with going and finding a job through somebody you know instead of sending your resume to the black hole. I totally agree with that. Out of college, after I got that first job, it was a customer service assistant at a property management company. That was my first full-time job. Eventually, it led to another job in health insurance from my mom's friend's daughter who referred me to that job at Cigna. And then after that, I was referred to, I didn't like the job, so that's why I stayed there for a little bit. And then, you know, while I was working, my cousin who worked at a job in San Jose for semiconductor company to do like shipping, receiving, I found that job through him. So totally agree with them, networking. Number 2, I know you said 1, but I'd say number 2 with for people looking for jobs, I would say, you know, start doing informational interviews. I guess this is directed towards the graduates that more and more, you know, don't have a specific focus. Start doing informational interviews with industries or things that you are passionate about. I did that with, you know, transportation. I thought I'd be interested in transportation, but I did an informational interview with somebody at a company in San Jose, and I didn't like it because I hated being behind the desk. You know, I wanted to be out talking to people, interacting with people. So I found out I didn't like that. So start doing informational interviews, and then maybe start tapping into things you're passionate about, right? Say it's the outdoors, for example. You know, start, like Diana mentioned, you know, about parks, national parks. Maybe talk to somebody that works at a national park, or beer. Maybe you're very interested in beer. You know, talk to like a brewery. But just those 2 specific pieces of advice.
Great, thank you so much. Armand?
Same with Mike. I have 2 pieces of advice. One of them is to take risks. And that sounds very generic, but to take risks. I mean, us panelists, we have 10 plus years experience on the field, and we kind of have a feeling, or we're trying to get to know a feeling of where we're going to be in life. And you're going to spend the next 30 plus years in working. So you might as well do something you'd like to do. But if you would ask 22-year-old me, what do you like to do? Big old shrug. I have no idea. Like, it took trial and error to figure out where I would want to be. And that still might change. Very little people I know are in the career path that they thought they would be in during their undergrad at UCR. Very, like 10% of my friends. I'm not even included in that. So definitely take risks. A lot of you are at home, so you have that sort of economic support. So go ahead and make that leap into a new career. When jobs weren't out there in 2008, a lot of people went back to school. So that's my second point. Keep learning. A job gap on your resume won't really mean anything right now because a lot of people have got job gaps for 2020. So go ahead and learn something. Learn how to code. Learn, if you're in finance or any other field, find a niche that interests you and really dig into it. For me, that was the CFA. If I were to tell 10 years prior Armand to do something, it would be to go get the Chartered Financial Analyst designation, because it's a grueling exam and it only gets harder when you're older. And it would be better if I was in the right mindset, like post-grad, to keep studying. So definitely take risks and definitely learn something and try something new. You might surprise yourself.
Thank you so much, Armand. Diana.
I think Armand and Mike pretty much summed it up really well too. I think the one thing, what I'm saying is pretty much the same as almost what just Armand said also. Is I think one tip would be keep an open mind. And that could be anything of what we come out of UCR having these expectations. I seriously, even at the point at UCR, I had a whole plan, not of my life, but my career life. I studied people's LinkedIn to get to that point. I wanted to be the youngest female executive at a medium-sized company at least, under 30, by the age of 30. I had all these dreams, and I just was so set, and I thought there's a certain way of how to do things, you know, and I didn't realize there's 10,000 ways of doing it. And I didn't learn that unless I went through this job hazing, you know, journey of figuring it out. And then growing older and figuring out life, that wasn't the path that actually fit me best. Like, it didn't fit my health or my lifestyle or what I wanted at all. So, and a lot of the jobs I did do it full time, but a lot of these, I call it bridge jobs or stepping stone jobs, actually helped a lot to figure out what I wanted. So I wouldn't disregard any job possible or any volunteering or networking, because you never know how close it might lead you to something that you really want. I think we're always changing, growing. So even at age, I don't know, 50 at one time, I probably will not want the same things that I want now. So to keep an open mind that we're constantly changing what we want. If I had to go on that same path that I had at UCR when I was younger, I definitely don't want that. It's definitely nothing I want today. I want flexibility. I like startup companies because of that. I like, just different. The 9-to-5 job doesn't fit me, which would have been the job that I wanted before. To just be creative. I think we're really lucky coming from UCR. I'm not sure how UCR is today. I'm sure it's a lot better. It wasn't bad back then either. It's just we had less to work with. But I know from all the UCs, UCR is known to be the most creative students. Creative because we know how to make nothing out of, something out of nothing, basically. Because at UCR, there wasn't much. I mean, UCLA, all these other, campuses had, they had bars, they had restaurants, they had clubs. At UCR, we basically made our own club, made our own bars, made our own fun, you make everything. So I don't worry about kids coming from UCR, because I feel like at school, you're already in an environment to always have to push anyways. If it's not fun, you'll make something fun out of it. If it's not available, you'll make it available somehow or figure out an alternative available. So yeah, just keep an open mind, be do things that are unconventional. I mean, you never know where it's going to play. Just don't, whatever we were taught to be in a box to apply in a certain way might not work. You never know what it's going to be.
Thank you so much. That was terrific and a great way to end this. I mean, I can honestly say that in my 20s, I never imagined becoming an alumni director. That's not what I went to school for. Again, it's, you know, as opportunities present themselves, as people see, you know, talents in you that you may not see in yourself, and they encourage you and they push you to go towards something, you know, it's because they see abilities that you may not necessarily see in yourself at that moment in time. So again, thank you to the three of you, not only for being a part of tonight's panel, but for your volunteerism and for giving back to your alma mater. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. I know that we do have some additional Zoom webinars that are going to be coming up, some Zoom panels. Next one will be a week from today. It is our Highlander Welcome with the Inland Empire chapter. And that one will be more on the topic of volunteering to build your resume. And you can see that we have a listing here of some of the other ones that will be coming up. So we have a panel on creativity and sustainability, another one on civic engagement. These are now, those two are being offered in July. And then on August 3rd, we have one with our Orange County chapter on social media as a job. So for those of you that are looking to go into that space, we will have some panelists that can speak to that. Additionally, there's resources available to you at alumni.ucr.edu/career services. We do have some guides that can help you. There are online guides on resume writing, cover letter writing, some tips for interviewing. So be sure to check those out. And we also, the benefit of being at the University of California, Riverside, is that we can also leverage some great things that our sister campuses are doing. So I don't know if you're aware, but we do have these monthly career networking with all 10 UC campuses that take place. Those tend to be during the day around the lunch hour. So please be on the lookout for those. If you're not receiving our email communications, be sure to just shoot us a note, and we'll be sure to add you to those. And coming up, actually, in the month of July, we do have a couple of virtual career fairs that are all University of California virtual career fairs that will be taking place. They are in mid-July, so that information you'll also be able to find not only in our events calendar, but at the Career Services website. So again, thank you to all of you for joining us and for participating. And with that, we look forward to seeing you at a future Zoom webinar. Thank you all, and have a good night.